What's going on, everybody? Corey here, and today I wanted to talk about um, memorizing a deck of cards. Um, I'm on a few Discords. I'm on, in a couple Facebook groups, and I see people all the time asking, one, what's the best stack mem deck, and then how to approach it. And there's a lot of paid content out there for learning how to memorize a deck, and I've purchased some of that. There's a really popular one that Penguin has that I don't care for. I purchased it, and it's not the way that I learn. So I won't get into really which deck is the best. I think that's a matter of taste. A lot of people use Mnemonica, which is understandable. That like we see a lot of new decks come out or custom decks come out that go in Mnemonica order. Mnemonic is not for me. And that's mostly because I don't like tricks that use two decks, and there's a lot of tricks in the Mnemonica book that uses two decks. Now, I've not explored outside of the Mnemonica book for effects. I just knew when I learned it, it wasn't for me. So I've learned a total of, in my time of Magic, 3 stacks. I've learned Mnemonica, I've learned Joyle, and I've learned the Redford stack, and I've learned them all the same way. So Joyle was the first one of the So I make training decks. So these are my trainers. I don't know where my Mnemonica deck is, but I've got my Joyle and my Redford. And honestly, for me, if you haven't purchased a 6-hour memorized deck book, that's what got me started in figuring out, like, for me, the best way to learn a stack. And that is the Joyle stack. I do think, in my opinion, it's probably the easiest memorized deck to learn just because of how it's set up. But I take a lot of those principles and apply it to other deck work. So in Joyle, for instance, and I don't remember anything about the Joyle deck other than some of the training, but you start off by learning groups of cards and their positions, so the order they go in. So in Joyle, if I remember correctly, everything is kind of in chased and reversed chased order throughout the deck. So if you pick the fives, let's say, I believe the fives are at 10, 20, 30, and 50. They might be 10, 20, 30, and 40, but I know that they go in those 10 increments. So they would be in that chase order or reverse chase. So either clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, or diamond, spades, hearts, clubs. Tens are at like 15, 20, or 5, 15, 25, 45, or something like that. So you kind of learn, that's how the Joyle stack has you learn. It has you take your sets of cards, learn their position, and be able to recite those back. And you're able to get through the whole deck really in pretty speedy fashion through a good chunk of the deck in a day. If not the entire deck in one day. But what I do, one of the things the ways that I learn is doing mnemonics doesn't work for me. Thinking of the Jackson 5 beating up Miss Piggy in an alleyway doesn't jive with me. That's not how I learn. So what I do is, this deck's not in any kind of order, but I take the card. So here I've got 44, which is the Jack of Clubs in Redford. 43, which is the Ace of Hearts. Here I've got 28, which is the 10 of Diamonds, and so on. So I write, first I'll put them in order, and then on the back I write their position. And then I learn a couple different ways. So first I take the first 5. So it starts off everything in order. I take the first 5 cards, and I read out loud 1. I look at the number on the back of the card, so I don't look at the face. I say 1 is the Queen of Hearts. 2, is the 2 of spades. 3 is the 5 of diamonds. 4 is the 8 of clubs. 5 is the jack of hearts. And I go through in that order where I can say where I know the number associated with each one of those cards. Then I shuffle them up. And I do the exact same exercise where I'm saying out loud and associating that card. So 4 is the 8 of clubs. 2 is the 2 of spades. 1 is the queen of hearts. 5 is the jack of hearts. 3 is the 5 of diamonds, and so on. And then I start doing face up and face down. So now I'm looking at 8 of clubs is 4. 3 is the 5 of diamonds. 5 is the jack of hearts. Queen of hearts is 1. 2 of spades is 2. Like, I'm going that way until I feel comfortable at that recall. Which at 5 you should be able to get that recall really quick. That recall, and again, this is my opinion, but it depends on how fast you learn and how fast you can memorize things. The first 5 cards you should be able to get to easily within about 10-15 minutes. But it's saying that number out loud. For me, again, it's saying that number out loud and then saying that card. And if you miss the card, so if I say 1, the 8 of clubs, and I'm like, oh crap, no, it's 1, the queen of hearts, and I put it back in my stack. So I reiterate what that card is if I miss it, and I put it back in my stack to continue counting. I would say on a regular, going through your cards, the first day, depending on how long you're spending on it, the first day you should be able to get through to about 15 to 20 cards. Because if you do it in 5 card increments, you could do 10, but 5 I feel like is a really good way to start getting those cards in your head. So I do the first 5. Then I take the next 5. So I take my 6 through 10. And now I'm going through and it's like 6 is the king of spades. 7 is the 10 of hearts. 8 is a 7 of clubs. 9 is the 4 of diamonds. 10 is the ace of spades. And then I do the exact same exercise I did to memorize the first 5 cards. So I'm going through those repeating, I'm shuffling them, I'm doing face up, face down. And then when I feel comfortable with those 5, I combine them with the first 5. Now I do the whole 10. And I don't do them in order. I shuffle them and go based off of the number on the back to the face until I can get through that without making a mistake. And I've got to be able to get through it 5 times without making a mistake. And not have to sit there and think. So I don't want to sit there and say like this. I don't want to sit there and be like 8 is the... Oh, what is 8? I don't want to have that moment, because if I have that moment, then I don't know this card is the 7 of clubs. So it's, if you have to have a little break in there, that's fine. If like 8 is the 7 of clubs, that's fine. But if you have to sit there and really think about it, you don't have that card in memory. And that's how I learned a mem deck every single time. Again, associating a card with like something happening for a picture in my head, that doesn't work for me. There's a lot of people I don't think that works for. So I really just brute force it in, and that's the best way that I have found to learn a mem deck. For me personally, everyone's going to be different, but I do suggest, find out, do a little bit of research on mem decks. A lot of people are going to point you towards Mnemonics. That is pretty much the standard, but I love the Redford stack by Patrick Redford. He's got 2 books out right now on the stack, with a 3rd one coming soon. But people have it. There's a ton of work out there on Mnemonics. There's the Aronson stack. There's Joyle, which I don't know if it has a ton of work on it or not, but there's the Joyle stack. You can obviously even make your own stack if you'd like. That's not really my forte of making my own stack and figuring out how to get all these tricks to work out of it. It's something I'm just not interested in. But definitely do your research. Look at benefits, pros, cons for each deck that you're looking at, and then just have fun and learn. It's amazing how much of a deck, what you can memorize in a deck of cards in just a short period of time if you just put the effort in and you just kind of drill yourself to learn. But I'm a big fan of the brute force method. That's how I learn a lot of things, is just by repeating things over and over again and getting it stuck in my memory. I used to have photographic memory, but not so much anymore. So when learning a new stack, I can learn a new mem deck in about three or 4 days to feel comfortable. But yeah, that's just kind of my tips on the mem deck. You may have different techniques. You may already have a mem deck that you work with that you're like, no, doing mnemonics is definitely the way to go. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How did you learn your mem deck? Or are you finding this video helpful because you've been kind of struggling with the approach on the best way for you to memorize a deck of cards? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation down below in the comments, and we will catch you on the next go around.